Hello everybody and welcome to part 2 of What If Naofumi Watani Was a Gamer. Yes, it's been a while since part 1, but I still hope you enjoy this episode and this series. If you do, don't forget to hit a like, subscribe, maybe check out my Discord, link to that in the description below, and above all else, enjoy the episode. It had been 3 days since Naofumi set out on his adventure in this new world. Damn it! Naofumi screamed, raising his shield and jumping in front of his two comrades, blocking the bites of two dog-looking monsters. I cast Zweit Arrow Slash! Velt read from his book, while raising his free hand at the two monsters. An airblade formed from out of nowhere and flew at Naofumi. Naofumi adjusted his pose, allowing the attack to hit one of the monsters clearly, killing it. Kia! Elena shouted while swinging her sword into the remaining monster. She did good damage, but the monster seemed to have tanked the hit. The monster changed its target. He ignored Naofumi and charged at Elena, mouth open. She tried taking a step back away from the monster, but slipped on mud, falling into it. So annoying, she whispered to herself. She had thought that fighting with a shield would be easy. Just hang back and let someone else do all the work. Maybe the people of Silpho would come and she'd be treated like royalty. But that didn't prove to be the case. She was slowly getting fed up with the situation. Airstrike shield! Naofumi shouted. A green floating shield appeared in front of Elena, shielding her from the monster. This allowed Velt enough time to cast another attack that managed to kill the monster. The XP that the two monsters yielded was enough to push Naofumi to level 17. What the hell is this quest? He asked out loud. Monsters in this area are supposed to be level 10, not frigging 28. This quest was supposed to be a beginner one for adventurers at level 9 or so. I'm sorry that the situation has been so hard on you, Velt stated, bowing to the hero. It's fine. You guys still have some levels on me, so we managed to make up for it. Plus, even at that level, they didn't do much damage, thanks to my head defense. Naofumi responded, wanting to calm his comrades' worries. Let's just get to the loot that the merchant lost when the monsters attacked and be on our way. What about the bodies? Elena asked, looking at the 5 slain monsters with an expression that looked for profits. Don't you want to see what they dropped? Right, Naofumi said, putting his shield in front of the monsters and absorbing them into his shield. It unlocked the brown dog shield, which gave him the skill of intimidation roar. Aside from that, a couple drop items appeared in his inventory. 3 strong teeth, 2 brown dog souls, and 4 pieces of meat. Anything interesting? Elena asked, a very interested look on her face. I guess, but with how the people here have been treating us, I don't think we can make that much of a profit with this, Naofumi answered. He then started thinking about the discrimination almost everyone had put him through. Most stores and towns had slightly inflated prices when he or his party were involved, while they paid him way too little for his own merchandise. He tried negotiating, but most stores in the major towns would just ignore him. All the more reason to get out of this country as soon as possible. Maybe then we'll actually be able to make a profit. We still have some of the money the king gave us left, Velt reasoned. Yeah, but if we can't make much more, then we can't support our current situation, Naofumi reasoned. Let's just hurry and get this done. Right, Velt and Elena responded. All 3 of them headed to the broken cart that was next to them. Their mission was to retrieve the merchandise that the merchant had lost when attacked by these monsters. Something felt wrong, though. The cart just seemed placed, as though the merchant could have easily made it out without losing it. There was a wheel missing, but the cut seemed too perfect for it to have been made by a monster. Regardless of that fact, the group took the merchandise back to the Adventurers Guild, where they gave the items back to the receptionist. Thank you very much for completing the mission, Shield. Here is your reward, she said, pulling out a small bag with about 5 silvers and 50 coppers. Are you kidding me? Naofumi asked, a severe yet menacing expression forming on his face. Is there a problem? The receptionist asked. This is only 5 silvers. The quest said 10. Not to mention that the details around it were wrong. Those monsters were way over-leveled, Naofumi complained. Everyone around was minding their own business, but he did manage to attract the attention from a certain Patreon. I'm sorry, sir, but this is what I've been told to give you for the quest. I'm afraid there isn't much I can do, the receptionist said. Stop lying! Naofumi shouted, slamming his hand against the desk. You know damn well how much you have to pay me for that job. You do this every time I'm here. When will it finally be enough? I do wonder what's going on here. A woman with blue eyes and long, curly golden hair, wearing a blue and white outfit, said. Is the guild really deceiving its patrons? This is some pretty bad news. I guess I should go tell my friends. If we can't work here, we'll have to find another way to earn money. It's just the shield, I'm sure you can understand now, the receptionist said, wanting to avoid any conflicts or loss of business. So you're discriminating against one of the holy heroes? Is that really alright? What would the crown say? The woman with golden hair asked, putting her finger to her chin. There isn't any need for that, miss. Everything's alright here. I was just getting this fine gentleman his reward for his quest, the woman answered, sweat dripping down her forehead. The shield had done nothing wrong, so she had no reason to pay him less, but that was still what her belief asked of her. After Naofumi got his money, he stepped away from the counter. He, along with the woman, headed towards the common area of the building. Thanks for that, Naofumi said, catching up to the girl. I'm Naofumi, by the way. I'm Rhino, and it's no problem at all, the girl responded. Well, if you ever need help, I'll be happy to help you out to pay you back for the favor, Naofumi said as he started to walk away. Actually, if you don't mind, I kind of have a quest I can't really take on alone. I could use a bit of help if you're okay with that, Rhino said. What's the quest? If it's not too hard, then I guess me and my party can help out, Naofumi said, raising his hand into the air and smiling for Velt and Elena to come to meet him. They were observing the quest on the pin board, trying to find a suitable one, but came to Naofumi's side as soon as they saw him call them. It's a simple escort quest. You see, this village to the southwest has had a famine problem lately, and I'm supposed to escort a carriage taking some food there. The thing is, there have been a bunch of bandits on the road lately, taking down all the shipments going over there, and I don't think I would be enough to guarantee security, so I was trying to get some people to help, Rhino said. What level are you guys anyway? I'm level 17, Velt over here's 22, and Elena's 24. What about you? Naofumi asked. I'm currently level 19, Rhino responded. The group talked a little longer, settling on a plan and meeting time. Then, both parties went their separate directions. Rhino wanted to see if she could maybe recruit some other adventurers for the mission. Meanwhile, Naofumi and company headed to a nearby inn where they'd stay the night. We have a quest tomorrow, but for the rest of the night, you are free to do whatever you want, Naofumi said after they rented out some rooms at the inn. The prices seemed a bit high, but they weren't absurd at least. He then handed each of his companions 2 silver coins. This should do if you guys want dinner and whatnot. Thank you, Lord Iwatani, Velt said, bowing down. Only 2 silvers? Elena asked with a pessimistic tone. Fine. They both headed to the tavern while Naofumi left their stuff in one of their bedrooms. He then sat down on the bed. The exhaustion hit him and he fell down to his back. So much work and so little to show for it. I have a bit of free time. Might as well check out what I got to work with, he said, jumping back up and opening up his menu. Okay, let's see. I like the materials to do the smelting thing, but I can do the spirit enchantment. What can I apply these souls to? Naofumi selected the souls of the monsters he had killed earlier in the day. Upon seeing the options, he selected the Knight Captain Shield, the one he'd been maining, and applied the enchantment. The enchantment gave him a plus 10% defense against canines, along with a plus 1 defense permanent stat. He applied the 2 other souls to the shield, increasing the defense against canines to plus 20% and adding an extra plus 1 to both defense and healing. Pretty good results. The item is of the rare class, so it's pretty good, at least according to Itsuki. It's not like I have any rare stuff in my arsenal, plus it has some pretty good stats. My mastery's also at 100% already, with this one and 2 others I was using before. If I'm not mistaken, I can do this, right? Naofumi asked himself. He selected the small metal shield he had been using 2 days before and reset its mastery level. The mastery level went back down to 0, but the weapon's rarity increased a level, and he received a bunch of energy points. Seeing that the stats went up a bit, Naofumi reset the other shields as well. The rarity went up, unlocking small stat boosts. Okay, that's pretty good, he thought, seeing the substantial boost in stats. His primary weapon had gone from rare to super rare, along with now being enchanted. He then reapplied the energy points he had obtained into the Knight Captain's shield, increasing his master over it to 49%. He spent a couple more minutes applying the different power-up methods. He turned some of the more useless items in his inventory into energy, which he then allocated to stats as enchantment and enchanting his primary weapon. He had more than doubled his stats in a short while. He was probably more powerful than an average level 35 adventurer, and he was only at level 17. The process just stopped when his stomach started grumbling. Well, the chances for the enchant to fail are getting a bit too high for my taste, so might as well stop for now. He then grabbed 2 silver coins from his bag, left the room, locking the door behind him, and headed to the tavern to eat some food. As he left, a mysterious figure seemed to follow from the shadows, keeping its distance. Naofumi entered the tavern and had a look around. He quickly spotted Elena talking to a red-haired girl. Velt was nowhere to be seen. He likely finished early and went out for a walk or something. Naofumi went to the bar, ordered a cheapish meal and ate it while looking over a map to the kingdom. He was looking over the route he was supposed to take, along with a couple of notes he had written down on it. The following day arrived, and Naofumi and company headed to the center of town, where they were supposed to meet Rhino and anyone else she may have recruited. I take it did not go well then, Naofumi inquired upon arriving. Oh, good morning, she greeted. No, not really. I talked to a bunch of adventurers, but most of them don't want to face the idea of bandits. It's a pretty good reward too. Anyway, nice to see you came. So you're the adventurers who are escorting me to Lerno, huh? Nice to meet ya. The merchant greeted friendly, but there was a hint of worry and nervousness inside his voice. Nice to meet you too, good sir, Velt greeted, bowing to the man. So, what are we helping you transport? Naofumi asked after the greetings were done. Just food and some goods. The folks down there seem to have been dealing with a famine, so there's a profit to be made. Of course, that is only if you do your job and we get past the bandits, the merchant said. The group helped him load his carriage and they all set out on the trip. After 2 hours of smooth traveling, they were already halfway to their destination without encountering anything the least bit suspicious. Wow, this thing's fast. What is it? Naofumi asked, curious about the animal pulling the carriage. It could certainly prove useful to traverse the lands if he had one himself. He could maybe get out of the country pretty quickly. Pretty fast, ain't he? This is Black Thunder. He's a Filolio. They are pretty handy for pulling carriages, the merchant explained while not keeping his eyes off the road. Bought him from a monster salesman in the castle town. Cost me a pretty penny, but it's been a pretty good return on investment. The merchant then spotted a group of people up ahead, and the bird started slowing down. Hey there, good friend. How is it going? One of the men from the group said while he and another approached the carriage. We're doing pretty well. If you'd just let us pass, we'd be even better, Naofumi coldly responded, sensing the intent of the man. What do you happen to be transporting? The second man said, not giving Naofumi any thought. Does it matter? Naofumi asked. Guess you're right. It doesn't, the first bandit said. Yeah, fork it over and you'll make it out without any troubles, the second announced. Elena, Velt, Rhino, come here for a sec. We seem to have a discussion, Naofumi said, shouting into the cart. What discussion are you talking about? We said to fork it all over, or else, the first bandit said, unsheathing his sword and pointing it at Naofumi. Just let us pass. We don't want any trouble, Naofumi said, looking at the guy with narrow eyes. As if. Not until you give us your merchandise, one of the bandits replied. Naofumi jumped out of the cart, with his companions doing the same. He put his hand to his shield and changed it to the Knight Captain's shield. It changed from a small shield to a steel Greek shield that seemed to cover most of Naofumi's arm. I guess we're doing this the hard way, he said. Big mistake. We have 2 guys with class upgrades. You really think you can beat us? The bandit said. Naofumi nodded and Velt started casting a spell while Rhino and Elena prepared their weapons. Seeing them getting ready, the 2 bandits charged at the group. Shield prison! Naofumi shouted, trapping one of the 2 in the skill while blocking the other one's attack. Thanks to one of the shield's mechanics, the bandit found himself immobilized for a second after hitting the shield. This gave Rhino plenty of time to rush in and hit him in the gut, immobilizing him. The group of 15 bandits that were hanging in the background saw what was going on and rushed at the group. All the while, the merchant closed his eyes and cowered in fear for his life. If the battle went awry, then he could lose not only his merchandise but his own life. The shield prison's timer ran out, and the bandit was free just in time to charge along with the others. All Zweit arrow shot! Velton chanted, shooting a barrage of air blasts at the bandits. This managed to stall some. Airstrike shield! Naofumi shouted, blocking the path of some others. Rhino parried one of the bandits' attacks, kicking him, while Elena struggled against another. The moment her sword gave out, Naofumi ran to her side, blocking the attack with relative ease. What the hell? How did he block that? That's the guy who went through the class upgrade, right? One of the bandits screamed. The battle lasted quite a while, but in the end, the group managed to defeat the bandits, tying them up with the rope shield at the side of the road. Although Naofumi hadn't taken that much damage, it had been a gruesome battle. He had exhausted his stamina and SP. Velt had made it out pretty much unscathed, while Elena and Rhino had taken a couple of hits. Rhino seemed okay with this, but Elena complained about it heavily, so Naofumi handed her a healing potion. After the battle ended, the group rested a bit while deliberating what to do with the bandits. What a waste. A knight wearing a 3 Heroes rosary that was watching the battle from behind some bushes and trees said. Next to him were a couple other knights and 2 nuns in a cage covered with a tarp. We gave 2 of those lowlifes class upgrades, and they weren't even able to take down a measly adventurer at level 17. That devil must have employed some kind of trick to conceal his level, the second knight groaned. Worry not. He has been weakened. This is exactly what we brought that for, one of the nuns said, glancing at the cage while pulling the tarp, revealing a 2-headed black dog monster. So we agree then. We take the bandits to the nearest guard post, Rhino said. Yeah, we might even get a reward from it, Naofumi reasoned. The problem is still the numbers. There are way too many of them to transport at once. We can always tie them up here, take the strongest ones in, and tell the guards where to find the rest, Rhino reasoned. I'm pretty sure that's our best option, Sir Iwatani, Velt added. Are you okay with that? Naofumi asked, looking at the merchant. He just gave a nervous nod. He did not think highly of the shield hero before this, and the idea of transporting bandits wasn't a pleasant one, but now that he'd seen him in action, he didn't want to upset Naofumi. Okay then, we'll go with that. They said 2 of them had gone through class upgrades, right? Then we'll take those 2 and the 3 over there. The other 10 will have to tie up to that tree while they're unconscious. Of course, we'll be keeping their weapons. Naofumi continued. What is that? The merchant shouted, pointing at a 2-headed dog monster that had just entered the road from the woods. Genuine fear was heard from the trembling of his voice, which caught the attention of the adventurers. Naofumi turned around and used his appraisal skill on the beast. He could not tell a proper level. All that set it apart from a regular monster was a purple pointer on top of its head that indicated it had a significantly higher level than them. The monster slowly walked towards the group, then started running towards them. Naofumi ran in front of his comrades, blocking the monster. One of the heads bit into the shield, trying to eat it, being slightly stunned. After the effects passed, it bit its second head into Naofumi, barely piercing the skin. Ah! Naofumi started screaming. His scream lost all of its strength as he realized how little the bite hurt. He imagined it being a lot more painful. For the next few minutes, he held the beast in place while Velt and Rhino took it down using spells and weapons. Once the monster was defeated, Naofumi absorbed the materials into his shield, unlocking a new shield and a couple of new items. The group then mounted the strongest bandits into the carts and set forth on their adventure. They passed by a guard station not too far from where they were, where they dropped off the bandits and told them where to find the rest. Sadly, they were not given a reward for the task, even after some negotiation. Before nightfall, the cart arrived at Lerno village, where the merchant sold his goods, earning a nice, healthy profit. Naofumi even ended up helping him negotiate better wages, especially considering the situation they had to go through. Job well done, and here's the reward, Rhino said, bringing a bag filled with 200 silvers. We agreed to split it 50-50, right? Yeah, we did, Naofumi answered. That actually reminds me. The merchant asked me to give you this before he left, Rhino said, handing Naofumi a bag filled with a note and 30 extra silvers. Naofumi couldn't read the note, so he asked Vel to read it for him. Apparently, the merchant was impressed with Naofumi's negotiating skills and offered his services if they were ever needed, along with 5% of the profits for helping raise the price. Thanks for all the help with this, Naofumi said. No need, this was my quest. I should be thanking you, Rhino responded. Regardless, I feel like we worked pretty well together. Any chance you'd want to join my party? Naofumi offered. She was a capable fighter, not to mention they seemed to have a pretty decent synergy. Join up with one of the cardinal heroes, huh? Seems like a pretty good idea. Sure, I'll join. Naofumi Watani, Rhino responded. She agreed with the assessment. She enjoyed his companionship. They weren't pushovers. They were capable fighters she could get along with. Naofumi, can I talk to you? Elena said, approaching both Naofumi and Rhino. Sure, Naofumi responded, walking away from Rhino to have some privacy. What's the problem? I don't think I can do this anymore, Elena said. I think I'm going to go off on my own. The girl was an opportunist. At first, she thought she'd get an easy life with a shield hero, but the last 4 days had proven the contrary. Not only was she not getting the money she deserved, but she was having to work way too hard for it. It disgusted her. She decided to quit the group. Naofumi tried to convince her to stay, but she seemed pretty determined. The group then returned to the castle town. Once there, after getting her cut from the most recent mission, Elena officially parted ways with the group, and both of them went their separate ways. And that's the end of the video. Hope you all enjoyed trying to be faithful to the characters of Shield Hero as much as they are in the show. Or, well, in the expanded material, but most of these characters barely have any characterization, or at least any I have seen. If you like this video, please be sure to leave a like, subscribe, and all that stuff. You can always go to the Discord or leave a comment to talk to me if you have any questions about this. I usually read them all and respond to all I feel need responding. So yeah, you can also check out one of the videos on screen. And until next time, everyone, have an absolutely fantastic day. Bye!